Hey friends, it's your boy BigTCGFan coming at you with another video. And today we're going to be mixing up, do something a little different. A couple days I posted something on Reddit, and one of the first responses I got was, what makes me different from any other Crack Pack YouTube video? I thought, what does make me different outside of my obvious wit and charm? So I thought, I need to mix it up, do things a little differently. And we already open a wide variety of games, which makes us stand out. And then we actually build decks and play with them, which adds more. So I thought, I want to do more. I'm a pretty okay artist. I'm not going to claim to be the greatest artist in the world, but I thought I'll draw characters from the various TCGs that we're going to play around with, just so we can have fun with it. And of course, I thought it was best to start with the big granddaddy of TCGs, Magic the Gathering. So I chose Chandra. She's a planeswalker, and since we're a huge fan of redheads here at TCGFan, I thought it would be a great choice. So first, let me show you all my equipment, and then we'll go from there. You can see we have some normal thick stock paper. I have a 2H pencil, which I use for shading and things like that. Thick lines. It's very handy. I have 0.3 millimeter Stadler mechanical pencil. It's pretty sweet with HB lead. It's great for small details. Here's my baby. It's a detail eraser. I got it from Japan. Japan makes a lot of great things, and that's definitely one of them. And of course, we got a standard eraser for larger errors and such. We have a small straight line, small straight lines. I also have a big one. I don't really use it because I don't do too many buildings, but it's good to have it just in case. And I got my Magic Circle Maker. It's pretty awesome because it does a wide variety of sizes. All right, so here's our equipment. So let's get started. And what I've done is I've sped the video up from this point so that you don't have to suffer through an hour and a half of watching me draw. Instead, it'll just be a quick 12-minute video. And I like to start with the eyes, and then I build from there. And what I'll do is, you can see I'm putting the foundation of the eye in, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some iris and some pupils. I actually put a little small square there that would add for reflection, but at this point, you won't really see it unless you get up close. Then we got the foundations of a nose, and putting the nose in here, I do a little too big, so we're going to go ahead and erase that and put it in a little smaller. Now what I'm doing now is I'm putting an outline, a foundation of a face. I'm going to try to move the camera, but we'll try not to do that too much. And now we're putting in some lips. So everything I'm putting in right now is just going to be a foundation or a base that we can build on, so that what'll happen is I'll continue to shrink it down and minimize it a little more as I build the character in to do this. Putting in the little bump above the chin, and then we're going to do the jawline. Now we're going to go back, we're going to shrink the eyes because I realized I made them too big, which we knew was going to happen. That's why we have so many erasers. I have a lot of respect for people who draw with ink because those people are amazing. I am an airport clumsy old man and new artist, so I probably wouldn't really do it at that level. And it's really fun because, like I said, you can see I'm doing the jaw again, and pretty soon we're going to start expanding that out. Now it's funny because for the longest time in my life, I didn't think I could draw at all outside of like stick figures. And then I went on a Disney cruise with the family, and while we were on that cruise, I had went to a they had like a dining hall where you can do some drawing. We're using the circles. We're gonna put some goggles on Chandra because she rocks the goggles. Usually she has them either on her forehead or directly over her eyes. I'm gonna put them on her forehead so you can see her eyes. But we went to this thing, it was called the Artisan's Palette, and the way they worked was you sit there and your placemat was a thing where you could draw a stick figure, and they gave you a big Marks-a-Lot marker, which you really can't draw with outside of stick figures. And for some reason I really wanted to draw Rapunzel, who's my favorite character, and I just couldn't do it with that marker. I got frustrated and threw it away. After the meal, we went back, I grabbed a regular number 2 pencil and a sheet of paper that they were advertising, whatever, and I attempted to draw her, and I've been drawing since then. Turns out I can draw relatively well. We're gonna go with a cartoon style for Chandra here. You can see I already got the outline of the hair. We'll shrink that down as we go along. And right now I'm putting it as a chainmail neck piece. And I was looking at other art references for Chandra, and most of them had like a metal ring plate with a bigger ring around the front a little bit. So what will happen is later on I'll remove the chain there. She does have chainmail, and we'll put you can do chainmail or scale I've seen with her. So right now I'm putting in the tube. She has a tube that runs from the metal breastplate along to the back, where she has like a little backpack. You're not gonna see the backpack. So right now we're putting in the shoulder pads. She has a almost World of Warcraftian size shoulder pads, and this is the breastplate where drawing in here, making it look really nice. Yeah, Chandra is definitely one of my favorite characters. Unfortunately, they've never really made her overly powerful. They had one or two versions of her that were nice, but nothing that was really strong that overwhelmed the game. Now, one of my favorite styles with cartoon characters is to give them a really long body, and I put it in there initially and shrank it out a little bit, and then I'm giving her some badunkadunk hips, but we're actually going to end up pulling those back when we put the scale plates on her. So right now I'm putting the shoulder plates, and what we've decided to do for her, Chandra here, is we're going to put one of her hands out with a flame, which is pretty standard, and there's the tube that goes from her uniform onto the hand. So we're drawing the nice little glove here in the hands. Hands is probably one of my biggest weaknesses, even for a cartoon one, but I felt I did these ones pretty well. It helps to have the flame because it'll mask the hand. Her thumb, obviously, you wouldn't see it from that angle. Now, one thing I did struggle with was I was trying to decide what angle to put this other arm at. And so first we were doing there, and then we didn't like it, and then I changed it to was going to put a hand on her hip, and I didn't really like that either. So I just nuked the whole thing. You can see me going back and forth. That's one of the processes as you go. Let me redo her shoulder plate, extend it out, kind of cut it off, put a little more here. You can see I was trying to do that there, and then we're just going to rock it. Yeah, Chandra is definitely one of my favorite characters. She's a lovely redhead. If you ever get a chance, look up Steve Argyle, Chandra. She did this amazing art. He did this amazing artwork with her, where it's just like her face, her shoulders. She's kind of on a profile angle, and her hair is not alit with flame. And that was actually one of the motivating factors for me choosing to do her hair normal and not in flame, because most artwork with her, you have her hair, in flame. They'll give a little muscle tone there to make it clear that her arm is bare. Probably not the best arm, but keep in mind the angle of the artwork is as though you're kind of looking down on her. Like, let's say you're taller than her, or you're hovering kind of above her, and she's looking up at you, and so the arm that's going to be the furthest away. So I was attempting to do a little bit of perspective. Like I said, I'm still pretty new at doing it. I've only been doing it a couple years as a side hobby for fun. And this is when I realized, okay, I got to realign her shoulders. And then I discovered the plate. And so we're attempting to put the plate on. And then we got to square away her shoulders and, make the plate. She kind of had some of the artwork for her. They had the whole World of Warcraft shoulder plates going on. And here's me readjusting the tube to make it look a little better, trying to get it just right. And then we're going to go ahead and put the lines on the tube to make it look like a proper tube, as though it were coming from her back and into the chest plate. It turned out pretty good. And then I'm going to knock it out over here on this tube. And sometimes you'll find the artwork is more effective when you go with a simple version. We're going to go ahead and start putting some scales on there. The scales do take a little while. One thing I like to do is move about on the piece, bounce around, because if you focus in just one area, you're going to find yourself getting bored with that area, and it'll distract you from doing the other pieces. So right now I'm just trying to do a little fine detailing to get the shoulder plates, because there's a lot of plating on her arms. We'll do a little bit on the breastplate to make it look more like it. Then we're going to we'll actually take some of that out when we get there. There we go, because I liked the more swerve. All right, so then this is when I decided to put the plates on her hips, which some do, and I've seen a lot that do. And plus that, I felt it gave the artwork a lot of form. Let me scoot that up for you so you can see it a little better. And it was cool because as we're putting the plating in, initially I was thinking, I'm going to put some legs, but then I saw some art on her where it was cloth swaths that were blocking the path, so we decided to go with that, almost like a dress, but not quite, because she does have armor underneath, but you won't see that from the angle that we're going with. And there we go, we got that. Looks good. And so we're starting to put the scales in on the body, because the vast majority of Chandra, you see her drawn, she has scales, or brigadine even, that goes from below the metal breastplate all the way down to her hips. My theory is that it covers her entire body, and if you know anything about chainmail armor, it's going to have like padding or anything underneath. So a lot of times these fantasy arts where it's so form-fitting. All right, so let's go ahead and see. This is where I was thinking maybe I should do a flame, and then I was like, no, I really love the normal hair look, but I need to cut it down a little bit to make her hair look a little more realistic and flat, because most women don't have their hair just flowing as they're standing there. So so that's what I decided to go with there. Then we're going to do a little more formation and detail, kind of cut her jaw just a little bit, but not too much, because I was worried her head was going to be a little too big. Isn't too bad. Let's put some detail into the hair. It's hairs, and I decided, let's put one little strand of hair that kind of going off of her face and then in front of her, and then we're just putting a little more detail to make her look good. And when it's back to the scales, scales are a bit of work. Yeah, this character Chandra is a lot of fun. She's wild. She's a renegade. She just does what she wants to do, and I like the fact that the vast majority of her artwork is more practical. Don't get me wrong, I do love cheesecake, and that's what we have Liliana vests for. At least we used to. They stopped doing it as much. But with Chandra, it's all about practicality. It's all about efficiency. So what I'm doing right here, obviously, is I'm just putting a little detail. There's a lot of different variants of these shoulder plates, so you could do almost anything with the plate armor that she has. Intricate scroll work, if you have the time. And I felt, though, I could have sat there and just went crazy on the detail. But thematically, the rest of the artwork wasn't that detailed, so I felt it was important to have her armor plate on her shoulders and her bracers match the detail level of the rest of the piece. So it made no sense to go ahead and put too much detail. The only thing that really took a lot of work was these scales, and I'm trying to angle the scales to give her the appearance as though you're kind of slightly above and to her right or your left, so it'll give a visual appeal of that. Hopefully you can see that when we get the scales in there a little better, because as they're going to start to kind of head down towards that direction as we're going. They were a bit of a pain in the butt, and I kind of, my hand was getting a little tired from drawing them. It's a big difference between drawing, detail versus just drawing overall. And a lot of times, if you go to my DeviantArt page, which I do link I link on the video here, just so you can see my crappy art. It's not that bad, but there are people that are way better. There are people that are simply amazing. And I do write novels, so I always hire a professional artist for those. Okay, so I'm putting a little shading in here. I didn't want to go overboard with the shading, but I wanted to have some shading in some areas that would give it that feel. And then we're going to put little shadows on her hand. All right, so there you go. So it's pretty quick and easy. And it was fun. Nice Chandra. Let me go ahead and sign that. SWGUNN. And this concludes my video. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment down below. If you can, share the video. Peace out.